I never thought a casual Friday dinner at home would be the night my entire marriage unraveled. Diana sat across from me, twisting her wedding ring, her eyes darting everywhere except toward mine. The pasta grew cold between us. Something heavy hung in the air, something I could not name but felt pressing against my chest. When she finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper, the words came out like shattered glass. "I want us to have an open marriage." The room tilted. My fork clattered against the plate. Open marriage. The phrase echoed in my skull, foreign and sharp. I never imagined that agreeing to her proposal would become the best decision I ever made. Before we dive into how my marriage collapsed and rebuilt itself in the most unexpected way, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your location in the comments below. If you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, hit that like button. And subscribe, because this story is about to show you what happens when the tables turn in the most satisfying way possible. Now let me take you back to where it all started. Diana and I had been married for 5 years when everything fell apart. We met at university during our sophomore year, back when life felt infinite and love seemed simple. She was studying communications, I was deep in computer science, and somehow our worlds collided at a campus coffee shop. She spilled her latte on my laptop. I should have been furious, but when she looked up at me with those apologetic brown eyes, I just laughed. We started dating 2 weeks later. Our early marriage was everything I had hoped for. We lived in a modest apartment in Portland, nothing fancy, but it was ours. Sunday mornings meant cooking breakfast together, her in charge of pancakes, while I handled the coffee. We traveled every summer, nothing extravagant, just road trips down the coast or camping in the mountains. Diana worked as a marketing manager for a mid-sized tech company. I was a software engineer at a startup. Our lives ran parallel, busy but intertwined. We made it work. Laura had been Diana's best friend since their college days. She was a constant presence in our lives, showing up for dinner parties, joining us for movie nights, becoming part of our little family. I considered her like a younger sister. She was funny, genuine, always ready with a sarcastic comment that made everyone laugh. Diana and Laura were inseparable. They texted constantly, had weekly lunch dates, shared everything. I never thought twice about their friendship. It felt natural, healthy even. But around 6 months before that Friday night dinner, things started shifting. Diana began coming home later than usual. Team meetings, she said. Client dinners that stretched past 10 at night. Her explanations always sounded reasonable, and I trusted her completely. Why would I not? We had built 5 years together. We had weathered arguments about finances, disagreements about where to spend holidays, the normal friction of 2 lives merging. This felt different, though. Subtle but different. Her phone became a fortress. She started placing it face down on every surface. She changed her password, something she had never done before. When I asked about it casually, she shrugged and said something about work security protocols. Again, reasonable. Again, I believed her. The emotional distance hurt more than the practical changes. She stopped asking about my day. Our conversations became transactional. Did you pay the electric bill? What time will you be home? Can you pick up groceries? The warmth we once shared cooled to room temperature, then lower. I tried to bridge the gap. I suggested date nights, maybe revisiting that Italian restaurant where I had proposed. She said she was too exhausted from work. I planned a weekend getaway somewhere quiet where we could reconnect. She canceled last minute, citing a project deadline. "I am just tired, Gustav," she told me one evening when I pressed her. "Work is overwhelming right now. Give me some space to breathe." So I gave her space. I gave her patience. I gave her understanding. I gave her everything except suspicion, because trust was supposed to be our foundation. Then came that Friday evening. Diana texted me in the afternoon asking if I could be home by 7. She wanted to talk about something important. My stomach dropped. Important talks rarely meant good news. I spent the afternoon distracted, running through possibilities. Maybe she wanted to quit her job. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she wanted to move cities. I never considered the truth. She arrived home at 7:15. I had set the table, made her favorite pasta dish, poured wine. She barely touched any of it. We sat in uncomfortable silence for several minutes before she cleared her throat. Gustav, I need to be honest with you. My heart started pounding. I have been seeing someone. The words landed like physical blows. Someone, not something, someone. The room shrunk around me. I could hear my own breathing too loud, too fast. She continued talking, her words tumbling out in a rehearsed stream. His name is Kyle. We met at the gym 3 months ago. It started as just talking, then coffee, then more. I still love you, Gustav. I do, but I need something different. Something you cannot give me right now. I sat frozen, unable to process what I was hearing. 3 months. She had been lying to me for 3 months. Every late night, every distant conversation, every time she pulled away when I reached for her hand. All lies. But then she said something that shocked me even more than the confession. I do not want to lose you. I want us to stay married. I just think we should have an open marriage. We can both see other people. Marriage does not have to be traditional anymore. We can evolve. We can make this work. Open marriage. The phrase sounded absurd coming from her mouth. She spoke about it like a business proposal, listing benefits and possibilities. We could maintain our partnership while exploring our individual needs. Other couples do this successfully. We could set boundaries, have complete honesty. It could save our marriage instead of destroying it. Think about it, she said, reaching across the table for my hand. I pulled away. Please, Gustav. I do not want a divorce. I want us to grow together, just in a different way. I could not speak. My throat had closed. I stood up from the table and walked to our bedroom, shutting the door behind me. I heard her cleaning up the kitchen, the sound of plates clattering, water running. Normal sounds in an utterly abnormal situation. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through 5 years of memories, trying to pinpoint where we had gone wrong. Had I been neglectful? Had I stopped paying attention? Was this my fault somehow? The questions circled endlessly, offering no answers, only more confusion and pain. I spent the next week in a fog. Diana gave me space, sleeping in the guest room, leaving for work early and returning late. She had already given herself permission to continue seeing Kyle, I realized. The open marriage had begun the moment she suggested it, regardless of my answer. I barely slept. Food tasted like cardboard. Work became impossible. I sat at my desk, staring at code that made no sense, my thoughts constantly drifting back to the same question. What do I do? After 7 days of torture, I made my decision. On Friday evening, exactly 1 week after her proposal, I found Diana in the living room. She looked up from her laptop, hope and anxiety mixing on her face. Okay, I said. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Let us try it. Her face lit up. She crossed the room and hugged me tight, kissing my cheek. You are so understanding, Gustav. This is going to make us stronger, I promise. You will see. I stood stiff in her embrace, feeling nothing except a vast emptiness spreading through my chest. The new arrangement began immediately. Diana started going out on dates with Kyle openly. She would come home from work, shower, put on makeup, dress in outfits I had not seen her wear in months, and leave. See you later, she would call out cheerfully, as if she was just meeting friends for drinks. I would sit alone in our apartment, surrounded by the life we had built, feeling like a ghost haunting my own existence. She usually returned around midnight, sometimes later. She would slip into the guest room quietly, and I would lie awake in our bed, staring at the empty space beside me. 2 weeks into this arrangement, Laura stopped by. She had texted earlier asking if Diana was home. I told her no, Diana was out. With Kyle, I added, because what was the point of hiding it anymore? Laura showed up anyway, carrying takeout and a concerned expression. She found me on the couch, television on, but muted an empty beer bottle on the coffee table. Gustav, what the hell is going on? She set the food down and sat beside me. Diana told me some vague story about you two needing space, but this does not feel like space. This feels like something else. So I told her everything. The confession, the open marriage proposal, my agreement, the current situation. With each sentence, Laura's expression shifted from confusion to anger to outright fury. She did what? Her voice rose. She is out there with some gym guy while you are sitting here alone, and she made you think this was normal. That is so selfish, Gustav. That is not an open marriage. That is her wanting permission to cheat while keeping you as a backup plan. Hearing someone else say it out loud cracked something open inside me. I had been so lost in my own confusion that I had not let myself feel angry. But Laura's indignation gave me permission to acknowledge my own. We sat and talked for hours that night. Laura shared that she had broken up with her boyfriend 3 months earlier. "He cheated on me too," she said quietly. "I know how you feel. That hollow sensation of being replaced while you are still standing right there. It is the worst." We connected over shared pain. Laura had always been Diana's friend, first someone I knew casually through proximity. But that night I saw her differently. She was funny, yes, but also deeply thoughtful. She listened without judgment. She understood the complexity of still loving someone who had hurt you. When she left around midnight, she hugged me at the door. "You deserve better than this," she said. "I hope you know that." After that night, Laura and I started texting more frequently. Just checking in messages at first. "How are you holding up? Did you eat today? Want to grab coffee?" Those coffee meetups became regular occurrences. We would sit in small cafes for hours talking about everything except Diana. We discussed books, movies, childhood memories, career ambitions. Laura worked as a graphic designer for an advertising agency. She showed me her portfolio, and I was genuinely impressed by her talent. She asked about my work, actually interested in the technical details that usually made people's eyes glaze over. I found myself looking forward to seeing her. For a few hours sitting across from Laura at some coffee shop, I could forget about the emptiness waiting at home. I could remember what it felt like to be seen, to be heard, to matter to someone. There was no romantic intention initially. We were just two people, finding comfort in unexpected friendship during difficult times. But somewhere around the 1-month mark, things shifted. We had met for a walk through Forest Park, the afternoon warm and clear. Laura was telling some elaborate story about a disastrous client meeting, her hands gesturing wildly, and I realized I was happy, genuinely happy, not distracted from sadness, but actually content in that moment. When she noticed me staring and asked what was wrong, I almost told her, almost admitted that I was developing feelings I had no right to feel. Laura seemed to sense it anyway. Our walks lasted longer. Our conversations grew more personal. She started touching my arm when she laughed, letting her hand linger. I would catch her looking at me with an expression I could not quite read. One evening, sitting on a park bench, watching the sunset, she turned to me. "Gustav, is this weird, us spending so much time together, I mean with Diana and everything? I thought about it honestly. Diana wanted an open marriage. She had made that choice for both of us. I had not pursued this situation, but here it was presenting itself. Is it weird? Maybe. But Diana is out there doing whatever she wants. Why should not I have the same freedom?" The following weekend, I asked Laura on an actual date, not coffee as friends. A real date. She said yes immediately, then bit her lip. "I feel guilty, though. Diana is my best friend. Or was. I do not even know anymore. After what she did to you, I am not sure I can look at her the same way. But this still feels complicated. I understood the guilt. I felt it too initially. But then I remembered Diana coming home late, smelling like cologne that was not mine, kissing me on the forehead like I was a roommate instead of her husband. The guilt faded. We went to a small Italian restaurant across town, somewhere neither of us had been before. Neutral territory. The conversation flowed easily, as it always did with Laura. But this time there was an undercurrent of possibility of something new beginning. We talked about our failed relationships, about what we wanted moving forward, about fear and hope and starting over. When the check came, I paid and she smiled. "Thank you for this," she said. "For seeing me as more than just Diana's friend." "You are so much more than that," I replied. Walking to her car, we held hands. It felt natural, right, like something that should have happened long ago. At her car door, she turned to face me. "I like you, Gustav. More than I probably should. But I do not want to be a rebound or a revenge thing. If we do this, I want it to be real." I cupped her face gently. "This is real," I promised. "You make me feel alive again. You make me remember what it is like to be someone's priority." We kissed, then soft and careful, both of us smiling against each other's lips. I drove home that night feeling lighter than I had in months. The apartment was dark when I arrived. Diana was presumably with Kyle. I did not care anymore. I texted Laura good night and she responded with a heart emoji. For the first time since this entire situation began, I felt hope about the future. The next week, Diana came home early one evening. I was in the living room on a video call with Laura. We were laughing about something silly, my laptop angled so I could see her face clearly. I did not hear Diana come in. Suddenly she was standing in the doorway, purse still on her shoulder, staring at my screen. "You two seem close," she said, her tone strange. I closed the laptop. "We have been talking, yes." Diana walked further into the room. "Talking. Right. How much talking?" I decided honesty was fair. "We have been seeing each other. We went on a date last weekend." The change in Diana's expression was instant. Shock, then anger, then something that looked almost like betrayal.